The Clone Wars are often boiled down into a clash between the Republic's clone armies and the Confederacy's droid armies, but in reality, they weren't nearly that simple. While the Grand Army of the Republic and the CIS droid army were the largest fighting forces in the conflict, they weren't the only armies on the battlefield. As we've discussed in the past, the CIS actually had their own clone army, the Morgukai Shadow Army, and the Republic had its own droid army as well. In this video, we're going to be taking an in-depth look at the Republic's oft-forgotten battle droids and the long history of combat droids in the Republic military.
Attention, Sergeant on deck!
Droid technology was quite ancient in the Star Wars universe, and the first battle droids predated the Republic itself. Fourth degree or Class 4 droids, the formal labels for droids intended for use in combat, were likely among the first droids ever built. The Rakata of the Infinite Empire were known to use 4th degree droids as sentries, while the first known droid army was built by Zim the Despot, a Tiernese pirate lord who waged war with the Hutts about a century before the formation of the Republic. Battle droids were used in the Republic as well, and from its inception, the Republic army had combat droids in its ranks, though the degree to which these droids were used varied depending on the era. The most well-known soldiers of the Republic army were organic, from standard rank-and-file recruited soldiers to the more highly skilled Republic troopers and rocket jumpers. But for large parts of the Republic history, the Republic army was actually dominated by battle droids, with organic troops deployed only as specialists. Over the millennia, the Republic went through a variety of different droid models, but one of the oldest known droids was the Juggernaut war droid, the backbone of the Republic army in the years before the Great Droid Revolution. The Juggernauts were commissioned in 4800 BBY for use by the Republic Rocket Jumper Corps, an elite unit within the Republic army that used jetpacks to drop from orbit in battle. These powerful battle droids were also equipped with jetpacks as well as several built-in weapons. These included shatter beams, sonic stunners, and pulse wave rifles, the ancestors of the modern blaster. Juggernaut war droids first saw use in the Gank massacres of 4800 BBY, and for the next 800 years, they were some of the Republic's most prolific elite units. They were only decommissioned after the Great Droid Revolution of 4015 BBY, in which large numbers of Juggernauts stormed the government district on Coruscant and wiped the floor with their rocket jumper contemporaries. The spread of anti-droid sentiment after the Great Droid Revolution led the Republic to greatly scale down its reliance on battle droids, but it never completely purged battle droids from the army. During the Mandalorian Wars, the Jedi Civil War, and the Dark Wars, the Republic used Mark IV assault droids and Sentinel droids in large numbers, though organic soldiers still comprised the bulk of the Republic army. Mark IV assault droids were vaguely similar to droidicas, as they featured built-in energy shields and dual blaster cannons, which made them devastating even against force sensitives. Mark IVs weren't nearly as intelligent as the Juggernauts had been, however, and they were used primarily as perimeter guards aboard starships or in military bases. Sentinel droids were another matter. Sentinels could be considered equivalent to the Confederacy's B-1 battle droids, but they were better armored and weren't produced in such staggering numbers. These simple yet effective battle droids were widely available and were also used by Revans, Sith Empire, the Mandalorians, local governments, and even private citizens. The Republic armed them with simple light repeating blasters and sent them into battle in large numbers, especially during the Mandalorian Wars and the Jedi Civil War, in which they desperately needed the manpower. The Republic deployed Sentinel droids by the hundreds, and in some battles, the Republic deployed more of them than organic soldiers. The Republic would continue to use battle droids for the rest of its existence, adding new models to the ranks as the years went on. During the Great Galactic War and the subsequent Cold War, the Republic favoured GXR series droids, including the GXR-7 Sentinel, the GXR-5 Sabotage droid, and the fearsome GXR-7 Command droid. The tradition of the Republic using battle droids as an alternative to organics continued right up until the end of the New Sith Wars, after which the Republic army was dissolved. With the Ruusan reformations, the Republic military was replaced by the Judicial Forces and local planetary security forces. Some PSFs continued to use battle droids, while most relied entirely on organics. The Judicial Forces also shifted more toward organics, though battle droids were retained in some capacity. The reason for this shift was simple. The PSFs and Judicial Forces operated in what was supposed to be a time of peace, and organics were deemed more capable of diffusing violent situations than droids. This was a priority for both the Judicials and the PSFs, even when conflicts did break out. The outbreak of the Clone Wars saw the reformation of the Republic military, though the military structure was fundamentally different from what it had been in the past. The Republic Navy and the Republic Starfighter Corps were brought back from the pre-Rusan military in altered forms, but the Republic Army wasn't restored. Instead, the Republic adopted the Grand Army of the Republic, a clone force created by the Kaminoans that could not have been more different from the Republic Army of old. Ground-based sections of the Judicial Forces and Loyalist PSFs were rolled into the GAR, but by the time of the Clone Wars, few PSFs were using battle droids, nor were the Judicials. However, battle droids found their way into the revived Republic military anyway. Two particular models were notable for their affiliation with the Republic in this era, the L8, L9 and the SD6 Hulk. The L8, L9 was a prototype battle droid line developed by the Taggy Company, a loyalist megacorporation that had influence in virtually every galactic industry, including droid making. Baron Orman Taggy, the head of Taggy Co., sought to gain favour with Supreme Chancellor Palpatine by producing a droid army to fight alongside the Grand Army of the Republic, and he came quite close to succeeding. Were it not for Asajj Ventress, historians later noted, the Clone Wars may well have become the Droid Wars, as armies of L8, L9s had the potential to outperform the GAR's clone troopers. Taggy began designing the L8, L9 shortly after the Battle of Naboo, intending it for use against the armies of the Trade Federation. When the Clone Wars broke out, the L8, L9 rushed from design to production, and 2 months into production, Taggy had one L8, L9 prototype ready. This unit was far more maneuverable than other droid models in use at the time, and it was far more intelligent than the Confederacy's droids as well, giving it a distinct edge in combat. Additionally, the L8, L9 was quite well armed. Its arms featured built-in plasma cannons and flamethrowers, while its finger blades, when spun rapidly, could cut through durasteel. Before starting mass production of the droids, Baron Taggy wanted the L8, L9 tested under the most rigorous circumstances imaginable, so he entered the prototype into an arena battle on Radatak. Unfortunately for Taggy Co., that was the same battle in which Asajj Ventress, Radatak's reigning warlord, auditioned for Count Dooku. Ventress defeated every combatant fighting in the arena, including the L8, L9, in a bid to prove herself worthy of being Dooku's new apprentice. Baron Taggy's sole prototype was lost, as were the 100,000 credits he bet on it, and Taggy Co. cancelled the project, rendering the L8, L9 a historical footnote. But even without the L8, L9, the Republic still ended up using battle droids in the Clone Wars. Before the war, the Judicial Forces had commissioned a small army of SD6 Hulk infantry droids, a product of Balmoran arms. At 3.5 meters tall, this unit of a battle droid was incredibly effective, especially as a defensive fighter. It featured starship-grade duranium armor and a fearsome arsenal of weapons, including a pair of arm-mounted E-Web blaster cannons, a pair of shoulder-mounted Merson iron rifles, and hands capable of crushing organic opponents. The SD6 was virtually a walking heavy turret, and it put the Confederacy's super battle droids to shame. At the start of the Clone Wars, the Republic initially pulled the Hulk from active duty so as to avoid confusion with the CIS droid army. This didn't last, however, as the Republic quickly became desperate for manpower. The SD6 Hulk was deployed on the battlefields of the Clone Wars in a somewhat limited capacity, as the GAR's clone troopers generally disliked working with the droids. But they did see action in some of the more intensive battlefronts, and they saw enough use that the Republic continually bought more from Balmorra during the war. This was despite the fact that Balmorra had seceded and was also producing battle droids for the Confederacy. As the Balmorran government saw it, they just wanted to make money, and while they had joined the CIS for the sake of better profits, they were perfectly fine with Balmorran arms dealing with both sides. The Republic clearly didn't mind either, or at least it didn't mind enough to do anything about it. So that's the story of the Republic's oft-forgotten battle droids. But what do you think? Would you like to hear more about the original Republic army in the future? Let us know your thoughts in the comment section below. And just before you go, guys, if you want to use the music we use in the background of our videos and listen to them unobstructed and use them for your own creative projects, make sure you check out our Relax Jack music channel in the description below. And if you want access to exclusive content, check out our Patreon. If you just want to join our wider Geetsly's community, check us out on our main Geetsly's Discord, where you can chat to myself and other Star Wars fans, and our Geetsly's Gaming Network, where you can join other Star Wars gamers on our Gary's mod. Anyways, guys, as always, thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next video.